Hello, everybody. Happy New Year to one and all. This is our first live chat for 2023. As always, we go live on Instagram, on Facebook profile, Facebook page, and on YouTube. Today's live chat has no specific topic other than lessons that we have learned to improve ourselves, things that maybe we've gone through that were difficult in 2022 and that we are taking full advantage of so that we don't have to go through them in 2023, at least not in the struggles, but in the successes and the rewards. For those of you joining for the very first time, this is live chat number 22. So we have been doing almost 2 years of monthly live chats, which for me feels like an accomplishment because when I initially thought of doing live chats, I was like, okay, I can do it as a general Q&A, just open it up to everybody. And of course, I got lots of questions and I still have a backlog of questions that I need to get to. But then I was thinking, why not make it topic specific, and address certain issues that I've been coming across regularly or certain issues that I'm personally going through or struggling with and that I've had a breakthrough. And I know for a fact that this has helped me and how could I use that to help other people. So it has been a range, it's been like Q&As and topics. And today is kind of topic specific in terms of like the lessons that we've learned, but it's also going to be open to all of you. So first things first, wherever you're joining from, please shoot me a message in the comments or in the chat messages here on Instagram and let me know where you are joining from, because that is my favorite part about this. Hi, Alex. Alex from Brazil, Rio de Janeiro still, I assume, I think. I'm not sure. Maybe you've moved. Darnell, I think you're either in Cali or in Hawaii, but I feel like we have been missing each other like ships passing in the sea every time I go down to Hawaii, at least. Jihan, my dearest, Benim Chanim Kardashian. Irene from Spain. Erica from Curacao. Wow. Curacao is one of my favorite islands to visit. If you've never been there, it's one of the 3 Dutch Antilles islands. I think I haven't been to the other 2, Aruba and Bonaire. If I'm not mistaken, Aruba's very touristy, and then Bonaire's got more of a homely feel. From what I've heard, Curacao is the perfect combination of both. If you've never been, it's a great place to visit. Beaches are phenomenal. And I remember when they were doing the Curacao Salsa Tour, I went there 5 years in a row and had like the absolute best time of my life. So hi, Erica from Curacao. I'm a little bit jealous that you're over there and I'm over here. Steve from Milwaukee. Nice to see you there. And Alex is still in Rio. Wade from Dominican Republic, but also from New York. Oscar, don't know where you're from, but hello, back to you. All right, so first things first, the live chat again, I know I just kind of came into it and told everybody what it was, but these are a monthly live chat that I am trying to do for the sake of sharing the things that I have learned with all of you. Hopefully you can also take advantage of some of these lessons and apply them to your life. Sometimes they are dance specific, sometimes they are life in general, and in reality, what I've realized is in my life, many of the mindsets that I have is what I've taken into dance without even consciously being aware of it. But it's that application of those mindsets into dance that has given me the success in dance, which has then translated into lessons that I can then put back into my life and into my relationships and the way I communicate and express myself. So one overarching lesson is there are things that you want to compartmentalize in your life, but the skills that you have are often transferable across all spheres of your life. So if you've got a skill of connecting with other people on the dance floor, don't think that you can't connect with people off the dance floor. So a lot of us who are on the dance floor and we're really good with someone new that we've never danced with. But then when we get off the dance floor, we're super ultra shy, thinking that, well, I'm an introvert and I can't get along with, or not can't get along with people, but it's difficult for me to get along with people, or it's difficult for me to build that connection. When in reality, you've been able to do it in 5 minutes with a completely random stranger, right? So that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned. I took a couple of notes of quite a few lessons. I don't know if I'll get through all of mine, but I definitely want to share the comments that I received. So I'd like to start off by thanking all of you for participating and leaving a comment when I put the polls on Facebook and on YouTube and on Instagram, because they help, because it helps me see kind of like how many people learned similar lessons to myself, how many people had difficult struggles through the year, but ultimately came out on top. How many people had difficult struggles where at the end of the year, you're feeling like, you know, the absolute shit. You know, you feel like you're still at rock bottom and the world is a terrible place to live and people are horrible and you can't trust anybody, right? And it's good to go through those things because they're just stages. You know, no matter where you're at, it's a stage in your life, unless you're dead, and then that's a pretty permanent stage. But every other stage, every other place that you are in your life is kind of a stage that you're in, and that there will be a transition through that. You know, so if you are there in a difficult place, like, I'm sorry, but I'm not, because those are the places where we learn. You know, those are the places that we grow, and I'm glad that you're going through it, and I am positive that you're going to get through that. Just as I had my own doubts, whether I could or not. And I was critical of myself and beating myself up, but still made it through ultimately. And here I am. And I'm prepared to go through more of that, basically, in the future. A couple more hellos. I saw Oscar from Mexico. I don't know when I'm coming back, but hopefully soon. I always have a good time over there. Darnell, Cali, Reno. Okay, dancing in. Okay, cool. Wayne from Bermuda, another beautiful island, one of my favorites for their pink sand beaches. So beautiful. I got to get back over there. All right, so I wanted to share a couple of the lessons that some of you shared with me in the comments first, because they're pretty freaking great. And they kind of touch on some of the things that I also wanted to discuss. But as I'm going through this, I would love to ask all of you, what was the most important lesson that you learned in 2022? Like, what was the one thing that stood out that you learned that you intend to adhere to and apply to your life going into 2023? Think about that and then throw it into the comments. Move to Uplift from ATX. Is that Atlanta? I can't. Austin, Texas? Or Atlanta, Georgia? I don't know. And DJ Thiencito, hi. Not sure where you're based. I think it's France, if I'm not mistaken. Debraj from Calcutta. Nice to see you again. Happy New Year. Yeah, and if I didn't say that, or if you missed that, Happy New Year. Oh, Janice from Aruba. Speaking of the Dutch Antilles Islands, I was just talking to someone on Instagram who's from Curacao, Erica, and then I got Janice over here from Aruba. So Happy New Year, all my islanders. So Steve mentioned in the comments, focus on what I can control. Excellent. All right, so these are some of the lessons that were shared with me on the comments. I tried to group them into some categories. Laylee Reinders said, starting a conversation with telling your intention solves a lot of misunderstandings in life. And this is super important for our communication in general. I believe I have a live chat on communication. Let me see what that one is called. There have been so many that I sometimes forget what the hell I've talked about and when I spoke about it. If I don't figure it out in this moment right here, you can always go and check out my YouTube channel. All the live chats are grouped into a playlist, so you can go through them. And most of them are also time-stamped, thanks to my very good friend Wade, who's gone through them and written out all the timestamps for each section. So yeah, the live chat for September was on tips for effective communication. And one of those tips was actually the importance of clarifying your intention. Expressing your intention is one thing, but clarifying your intention for yourself is another level. There's a lot of times that we have something that we want to say and we just go out and speak, and we don't actually think about, like, why do I want to say this, and what is my intention, what is my goal by saying this. I was just speaking to one of my good friends the other day, Ayhan, and he talked about a Turkish saying that, I don't know how it's said in Turkish. Cihan, maybe you know this one and you can chime in and tell me so I can say it properly in Turkish. But it was basically listen twice and speak once. And to add to that, think twice and speak once. We are very quick to think and immediately say whatever the hell is up here, but we haven't necessarily processed it. And sometimes when we don't clarify why we want to say something, or what is the purpose and the goal of delivering this message to somebody, or asking a question, not only is the answer we get or the response that we get possibly unsatisfactory just because we haven't clarified it for ourselves, but it could lead to a lot of miscommunication and possible conflict and things that we could have avoided if we took the time to actually clarify our intention. So that one, Layli, thank you very much for sharing that one. Wade said, I learned how much more reliable I am, and the difference I can make by being present and offer my help, and the success I made in that area. So personal relationships, which is another one that I would like to get into, about reliability and kind of our ethics and how we show up in life. Speaking of compartmentalization, the things we should compartmentalize and the things perhaps we should not. The way we show up to people, our integrity, that's something that should never be compartmentalized. I know sometimes we think, well, with my close friends and my close family, I am a certain way, and with everybody else, who cares? But in reality, the way you are, it's a behavior, it is an action, it is something that you are doing on a regular basis. And the more regular you can be with that, you build a habit of being that person. And that ends up actually translating into a greater reliability across your entire network, your entire community, the people that know you closely and the people that have met you casually as well. I remember someone saying that to me. They're like, well, I'm very reliable when it comes to my family, but then when it comes to meetups or certain appointments, they're kind of here and there and showing up late, or canceling without reason, or canceling last minute, whatever the case is. And there's like that lack of integrity in their word. And to that person, they think that, well, this person's not that important, so it doesn't matter how I show up. But in reality, you're not showing up for that person. You're showing up for yourself. And so how you show up is always going to be important, because it's a reflection of who you are to yourself. And then the rest of the world benefits from your consistency in behavior to yourself, So for those of you, maybe, and I know lots of them, I have friends. And again, most of the lessons that I share, and oftentimes when I sit here and say, well, I know people like this. Yes, I know people like this in the present moment, but I often was that person too. I often was that person who compartmentalized the way I behaved with people, instead of understanding the value and the virtue of being a certain way, because it benefits me as a human being in my own personal growth and development, and then allows me to extend that to everybody else around me. And it's rarely about the reciprocation as much as it is about the integrity of my own character that I'm always trying to develop. And that's why those kind of things, being reliable and showing up in your best possible way, is important for your life, for your personal growth, but also for the relationships that you have with other people. So thank you very much, Wade. That is a beautiful lesson to have learned. Some more getting shared here. NSWYUK. I don't even know how to say that. So Yes, as someone told me, that's why we have two ears and one mouth. Yeah, actually, you know what? I think maybe that is close to the saying in Turkish. Damn, Jihan might not be here, so he can't translate for me. But yes, so think about what you're going back to the communication part about Layli's comment. Think about what you want to say. Find the intention, find your purpose. What is the goal? What do you want to achieve? And sometimes it's not about getting anything. Sometimes it's just about communicating. Sometimes you just want to share something and get something off your chest. And that actually is related to the last live chat we did, which was asking for help and helping others, where it wasn't about speaking to get a solution. It wasn't about communicating for answers. It was just about communicating for the sake of being able to express yourself to another person, to get your thoughts that are in your head that might be clouding the way you are seeing the world and reacting and interacting with the world, to get them out in words and speak to someone else, even if they're not saying anything back. It's just that ability to bring it from here, process it here, send it out here, and then look at it in reality and say, what the hell did I say? What am I really thinking? So intention is important, and clarifying your intention is super important. So another category of lessons. This is from Jean Marie Duke Mambo. So that being healthy is priceless. Health, fitness, your sanity, your peace, your time with yourself. These are all a category that I think we don't focus enough on. I know for a fact that I sometimes slack in this category. Because I get so wrapped up in all of the goals and the things that I'm trying to accomplish that I forget how important this body is in achieving those goals, and we make a lot of excuses. And I am, again, I am not guilty of that, right? We make a lot of excuses for why we can't include a fitness regimen, space and time to meditate or stretch or work out, like solid workouts, and schedule that time in our week. And when that day comes and when that time comes, maybe we're in the middle of another task, and then somehow we find a reason to postpone it further until it doesn't actually get done. And in my past, when I was not regular with my fitness regimen, sure, I mean, I'm the type of person who's always going to stay fit to some degree. Like I have my denim. That's the reason for always wearing jeans, is because unlike tights, they don't stretch as much, and so they are kind of my check to whether I am like putting on weight or not putting on weight. If I don't fit into them, I got to change something, right? But aside from that, when I'm not working out regularly, I think I'm fit, but I feel like the world's challenges are a little bit harder to attack. I feel like I haven't gotten something done for an accomplishment, a sense of accomplishment. Whereas when I've been exercising regularly, whatever that may be, it could be 10 minutes, it could be a 2-hour workout in the gym, whatever that may be. When I have a regular routine of exercise, not only does it give me a sense of accomplishment for my day, that yes, I got that done. At least one thing I can say, check, I got that done. And that is good and healthy for me. But more importantly, fitness, I've always said this. And for those of you who are subscribe to the combo membership on my platform, which you can find at learn.magnagopal.com on my website. For those of you who have done the QFit, the workouts there, you know that I will push the shit out of you, right? I will make you cry. That is my goal. That is my goal with myself when I work out. I'm not there to dilly-dally and like, oh, cool, I did a couple of reps and yay, I'm done. When I work out, when I have that intense regimen, the purpose of that is to push myself to my limit. And then when I hit that limit, to say, can I do a little bit more? Why? Because life is going to constantly do that to you, right? There's nothing you can't control what you're going to get thrown at you. But if you are building a habit of constantly meeting challenges, struggling, feeling like I just can't do anymore, I can't do another rep, I can't run another minute, and you do it anyways, you reinforce to yourself how strong, how capable, how resilient you actually are. And that mentality, that mindset, again, transfers into your life. Like the way we attack things that are our routines, even our routines and habits, the way we attack those, the way we show up with people, that habit building that we are doing with our character transfers into other areas of our life and it benefits us. So to go back to what Jean-Marie Duke Mamba said, that being healthy is priceless, absolutely. And your physical resilience and how you build it, how you train yourself, your fitness routine, your time for yourself, your ability to meditate and drown out all the sounds of the world and just be in this place of peace and silence, all of those things will come in handy as we go through life. And what I have learned through life is as you get older, you are going to be dealing with more shit. And the responsibilities we had when we were younger were not nearly as high or as important, as they become when you get older. And not only that, we end up dealing with more difficult things like injury, recovery. The older you are, you just recover differently. I mean, I can speak for that for sure, because I've had a lot of injuries, and I remember I used to just like, 1 week and I'm good. Now I'm like, 6 months? I'm still working on this shit. So there's that element. And then, of course, in terms of the relationships and the friendships that we have, the older we get, the older our friends get too. There are sickness and death and all that kind of stuff that I've had to deal with more of that in the past couple of years than I've had to in all of my other 40 years, and that is a tough time. And so you can't necessarily figure out how strong you are in those moments until you're in those moments, but you can build your strength in other moments, other calculated, controlled environments. Fitness is the best place to do that. I will never, ever, ever back down with anyone who wants to argue that against me, and I dare you to try. But fitness is the best place to do that. Your workout regimens and meditation, those kind of things can really develop your resilience for tackling challenges, for meeting obstacles, and for overcoming them. Camilo here saying, I didn't cry, I passed out before that. He's talking about the QFit workouts that he had participated in. And yeah, some of the people passed out. I am proud to say that. Not at all ashamed of that at all. Jihan, you telling me this in English? I want it in Turkish so I can say it in Turkish, damn it. Again, if you are just joining now, please shoot me a message and say where you are joining from. Let me know your city, your country. My favorite part about all of these is the international scope of the live chats and where everybody's from, and giving you guys all a shout out and appreciating the fact that you are here. Nikki Castoro said this message was at the right time, dealing with all that you just mentioned. I feel sorry for you, but again, like I said before, it's not pity sorry. I feel bad that you have to go through it, but I feel good that you're going through it, because you are just going to come out a lot stronger than ever before. Wade said, I cursed sometimes before passing out. I cursed during those workouts too. Nikki from Arizona. Cool. Camilo from the UK or Colombia right now. Not sure where you're at. İki kere düşün, bir kez konuş. That's the Turkish way of saying iki, 2 times, düşün, you should listen. Bir kez, 1 time, konuş, speak, 1 time to speak. 2 times to listen, you should listen twice and speak once. I mean, yeah, well, I guess I didn't need to go to all that. Secret Garden Bay from Jersey. Okay, moving on to our next lesson. So basically, I'm taking some of the lessons that you have all shared with me in the comments, and trying to add my own experience with it to show the relatability, because a lot of times we express certain things, and sometimes we feel very alone, in our expression of those things, and maybe we don't want to express them. But I'm telling you that everything that you guys shared with me in the comments, almost everything, I can relate. And I'm sure many of us that are present right now can do the same. Relationships. There are a couple of comments in the relationships that I'd like to touch upon. Billy Des said that I wasn't asking for too much. I was just asking the wrong person. I had an entire live chat on this, and this was the live chat from this was August live chat, asking for too much or asking the wrong person. So she just hit that, or he, Billy, I'm not sure which is this, a female or male Billy, but Billy hit that perfectly. This one is also crucial to the relationships that we have, the relationships that we are seeking out, especially. And I was just watching this show called The Alienist. I don't know if any of you have heard it. I just watched it and kind of binge watched it a little bit. And there was this one moment in that show where one of the characters, like, they're all trying to help each other, and the main detective is a little bit cold and pushes people away. And the other characters here are trying to help him, but he's very confrontational, and he butts heads with everybody because of his personality and his defensiveness. And that goes into the last live chat, which was about asking for help and supporting others. Is, we carry and we bring forward what we've experienced. That is just a fact of life, and the way people react to us, the way people speak to us is very often more a reflection of what they've gone through than it is of their relationship to you specifically. It's their own triggers, it's their own insecurities that make them react a certain way, and so there's a certain compassion that you want to have. But going back to The Alienist, there was this one scene where the two characters, the detective and his sketcher or whatever, who was also a detective, unofficial detective in it, the psychologist, the doctor, and anyways, watch the show and you'll know who I'm talking about. Main guy and then the other guy. I'm not very good at this. Anyways, so you have the doctor who's a psychologist who's got his own issues, and he's defensive and creates a wall with everybody. And then this other guy who's part of this team investigating these murders, who asks him, he says, why do you push away the people that love you and that care for you? And his answer was, the real question you should be asking is, why do you still stay? And when I heard that, I just went back into so many past relationships of my own, where I kept looking at a relationship and sitting there saying, why? I'm doing all of these things. Why are you fighting me? Why are you not opening up? Why are you? Why are you? And everything was focused at this other person. But I was asking the wrong person. And the real question I should have been asking is, why am I still here? Why am I in this place? Why am I forcing myself to stay in a place that is not healthy for me? Why am I wasting my time asking the same question? The definition of insanity, Einstein, right? Like, definition of insanity is doing the exact same thing, expecting a different result. Why am I sitting here asking the same question of this same person, expecting something different when I'm seeing no change? There's no evidence of change, right? There's no evidence of growth. There's no evidence of interest or investment, right? So that whole part about, are you asking for too much or are you asking the wrong person, is an important question for us to ask ourselves when we are confronted with those situations where we feel like we are repeating the same conversation, the same conflicting dialogue with someone. So a couple of other ones along that line. Sean Favre said, you choose who are the important people in your life and you decide what type of energy you give to people in situations. You guys nailed it, some of the lessons. I actually talked about that one in how to improve your connection with others, which was the October live chat. And that was all about the different types of relationships that we have with people, and how it's not about dismissing people who are not your committed relationships. It's about understanding where they are, how they're showing up, and meeting them where they're at, or not meeting them at all, type of thing. A lot of people talked about toxicity. Yanin Ledesma said to not be afraid of letting go of anything or anyone toxic. Bree Sherry said, stop holding on to people who have already let go of me, which is powerful. Fiona Cashman said, how to not be near toxic people and believe in myself more and put myself first. Absolutely. Joanne Ferry, let go of the past. Don't stay anywhere you feel you don't belong or feel unwelcome. Release toxic people unto their highest good and live your authentic self. And then Matthew Salsa, who said, who's your friend? Understanding who is your friend and who is friendly. So boundaries, right? Ultimately, all of those lessons that were shared there, or rather that I grouped into that, is all about boundaries ultimately, and I just posted a short video from a live chat. I don't know if you guys can hear this. I think there's construction outside IG. You guys might be okay here because I'm mic'd up, but I cannot mic this up right now, but hopefully it's not a terrible buzz or whatever there. But yeah, boundaries are really important. And sometimes we think about boundaries as just an issue of respect and how we respect ourselves. Like, I'm going to set my boundaries so that I can respect myself. But in reality, boundaries are twofold, actually. They are a combination of respecting yourself, but also establishing acceptable behavior to other people who might not have had anyone confront them, have not had anyone to tell them, like, listen, this is unacceptable. This is not a way I want to be treated, who believed that whatever they were doing was completely acceptable and fine because no one said anything. Not because they intended to be mean or cruel or rude or anything like that, but because nothing they did was ever checked, nothing they said was ever checked. They went through life understanding that this is acceptable and this is okay. And so you establishing your boundaries now tells this person over here, actually, that's not acceptable. And if this relationship between us means anything to you, then you will accommodate and adjust that. And if you believe that what I'm asking for is too much, I'm asking the wrong person, right? Ihan Kardashim, hi from Berlin. A couple more people. Camilo Bogota. But yes, you can never know. That is true. From doesn't mean they're there. Irene Torres Hayward added to this, just joining in at the last minute part. Just joining in for, just because you love someone and they love you doesn't mean they're the right person for you. Some people don't realize this and it's hard for them to let go. And I love what you're saying there. I've definitely been there myself. There is an understanding of, again, it goes back to intention, right? Self-awareness and intention. The greatest steps I have taken are asking questions that are introspective, to ask myself what the hell it is that I want from life. What do I want from my friendships? What do I want from a relationship? What do I want from my network? What do I want from this career? What do I want from the content that I'm putting out there? All of these things. Before, many years ago, I used to just do. I never thought about anything. I just kind of did because it felt right. And that's okay, right? I knew that everything I was doing was not causing direct harm to anybody else. And I am totally a proponent of, like, do you, as long as you're not hurting anybody else, right? And that's what I was doing. But then at some point you start to feel lost. You're like, why? What is the purpose of everything that I'm doing? And that's where I ended up getting to. And that's where I had to start to clarify my intention. Like, what is it that I want? Really, what do I want? And what makes me feel good? And what makes me feel accomplished and fulfilled and cared for and appreciated? All of these things. And that is how I ended up doing things differently. And to speak to what you just said, Irene, about loving someone and that person loving you does not mean that they're the right person for you. Love is a feeling, but it's also an action. And sure, you might be showing that, but ultimately, like, what is the purpose of a relationship to you? And what are the things that you want in a relationship? I love many people and I know that they love me back, but I don't think that they would be great partners. And the reason is for many other factors, because a relationship no longer means just being in love to me. A relationship means a lot more than that. There are other elements of communication, the way we communicate, the way we resolve conflict, the way we address our differences, the way we adapt to each other's differences, the way we challenge each other, the way we uphold ourselves to the world and to each other, right? How we carry ourselves, all of those things matter a lot more than how much I love you. I could love you for a million miles to the moon and back, but if there is a certain way that you conduct yourself, not to knock you, not to judge you, that's totally fine. And I'm sure that there's somebody there for you, that might not be a good match. And I've come to accept that much more in my life today than I did in the past, because in the past I went based off of emotions and like, oh, I'm feeling all of this stuff. I feel so connected to this person. I feel this chemistry, and not realizing that there are all of these flags, again, not flags on the person that they are bad, but flags against what I'm really looking for, because I never identified and clarified what the hell it was that I was looking for. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. I understand why I understand you exactly why I don't understand. Airtan said, I don't understand why I understand you exactly and why I don't understand American people. I don't know. Maybe it's the way I'm speaking. I'm trying to speak clearly. Gail said, that's exactly what I'm living now. I spoke so much already, Gail. I'm not sure which part you're referring to, but I appreciate it. You sharing. All right. Couple more comments. Oh, hello, Danny. We're here. I dare not go into that comment thread. Okay. Yes, Danny boy. Okay. So I'm just reading a long comment here. Give me 1 second, folks. Get up when I wake up. That's 20. Interesting comment for Daniel from Mexico. Said, enjoy your dancing videos and training. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. In this moment, I'm learning English, and I get the importance to have discipline and believe in myself. Yes, it's a lot of time. I've wanted to give up, but I wake up and I further proceed, and have listened to when you have talked about if someone wants something, you have to take it. Yeah, discipline is great. Again, back to character, back to ethics, and back to consistency in your character, and not consistency in your character for a certain compartment of your life, but consistency in your character in your life. Every compartment. Be that person that no matter who you engage with or what you're doing, whether it's work, whether it's fun, whether it's with a stranger, whether it's with your family, like be the person that you want to be remembered to be, Jared from Honolulu, bonjour to you. How's your face from that tortilla slap? If you guys didn't see that video is available. I do not recommend anyone play that game ever. It's rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, tortilla slap, basically. And I got the rules wrong. It's on my Instagram and my Facebook. And is it on YouTube? I don't think I posted the whole thing yet. But yeah, it's a rock, paper, scissors game. But I misunderstood the rules, or conveniently didn't hear what I didn't want to hear, and basically slapped the crap out of my friends with a tortilla. So another set of lessons, and Irene, actually your lesson, one of the comments that you left is in here. I copied it over. Seizing the day and gratitude. Okay. This one's really important. This is also one of my lessons, which is enjoying the moment and being grateful. So John McPherson, he said, seize the day. Tomorrow is not promised to any of us. Mamta Marwaha said, be grateful. My sister in Spain, Malaga, said, Anna said, life is too short. Think of yourself first and seize the moment. And Irene, this was a comment that you had posted. I hope you don't mind me sharing. She said that our family suffered a tragedy. Thank God my granddaughter is alive, although I still struggle with it. My biggest lesson was to stop predicting what may or may not happen, focus on the now, and be grateful for the progress. Life is so precious. The last live chat that we did was about asking for help and the challenges of giving support to other people. And the inspiration for that, or the reason I did that live chat, was because someone I knew very young, just turned 30, committed suicide. And it just made me think exactly about that. Life is so short that you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. You don't have that guarantee to you. Tomorrow is not guaranteed to anybody. So why not make the most of today? Why not take advantage of this present moment? Why not share your appreciation with the people that are in your life, that are present, that are already here? I've always had this habit of sharing compliments. This is one really easy way that I think everyone could apply into their life. Sharing compliments. Like if I'm out in a grocery store or whatever, and I see someone and I like their shirt, or I like their jacket, or I think their eyes are pretty, or they have a nice smile, or anything, guy or girl, if I see something, I like something, I just say something. I just say, oh, excuse me, don't mean to interrupt or intrude. I just want to tell you, your eyes are really beautiful. You have really beautiful eyes. I've never seen that color. La, la, la, la, whatever it is. A lot of us, we feel many things. We feel many positive emotions. In fact, it's mostly the negative emotions that we tend to express. Like it's that anger, that rage, and that resentment kind of take over, and we feel like we have to put it out there. The positive emotions that we feel, oftentimes we keep them internal. Which is dumb. Like, why? Like, those are the things that we want to be sharing with other people, right? Those are the things that lift people up, that lift us up, that connect and bond and grow relationships, And that's what I've been doing for like a few years. If I see something, I like something, I say something. And it's not to say it's for any reason other than to express an appreciation. Because I'll tell you, the people you think are doing great are going through their own struggles. They are going through their own struggles. They are going through their own insecurities. They are confronting their own fears many days. Like, I remember talking to a friend of mine on text, and we're talking. She was talking about like dating and stuff, and she's like, "Oh, I just don't feel like I'm worth it." And I replied, I said, yeah, I've felt that too. I feel that too sometimes. And she said, really? Like, you don't seem like the person who would ever have that thought. And that's the thing, right? Like, you look at other people who are living a life and they're showing up in powerful ways, and you think that they don't go through anything. Those moments, I have them too. I have my insecurities, I have my fears, I have my weaknesses, I have my challenges. I have all of those things. So hearing someone say something kind, say something sweet, say something nice, fill out the feedback form for the live chat, with your thoughts and your comments, which I always ask for, and I rarely get the responses there. Or leave a comment on the YouTube, the replay, if you're watching the replay. Simple things like that. You have no idea how great of an impact it actually ends up having on someone. I can speak for myself. The impact is immeasurable. Simple words of kindness, simple words of gratitude. So if you have a moment, if you can share that with the people in your life, by all means, don't hesitate. Because like all those people said in the comments that I just shared, tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Life is really precious. So a couple more comments here. X3 said, biggest lesson in 2022 was to give myself grace and not be so hard on myself. That has allowed me to pass on that same grace to others. And that's beautiful. Compassion, respect, all of those things really ultimately start within us. We have to be able to give it to ourselves before we can truly, authentically give it to someone else. Steve said, reminds me of Twitch. Yeah, right. Like, I don't know the story, the history, but it's sad, and that the Twitch story kind of reminded me of my friend friends, actually not super friend of mine, but an extension through one of my close people. At 30, He had just passed his 30th birthday, like a month prior, and then committed suicide. And I don't even know, you know, who knows, if the people in his life, spent a little bit more time saying uplifting things to him, if that might have changed the outcome. It's hard to process sometimes. It's still hard to process, as you can see. Okay, so people on Instagram, drop a line where you're from. So that's one. Help and support is another category. Jennifer Boselli said that even if you're a superintendent, sometimes asking for help is good and necessary. This was in the live chat that I did last month, the challenges of asking for help and receiving support. And again, I'm super guilty of that. I'm very independent. I'm independent because I was kind of forced to be that way. My childhood was such that I did not have the kind of support and feedback and basically people to talk to, that I should have had as a child. Didn't really have that, and was forced to be a lot more independent. The problem with being independent the way I've been independent is that I stopped trusting and relying on other people. And I just kind of focused on myself and said, if I can't get it done, there's no way it's going to get done. There's no point in asking for help, because when I should have had help, I didn't have help. So now I just expect that life, I'm never going to have help, But even if you're independent, even if you have the strength, even if you have the capacity to get it all done, seeking help and support is important, because there are always things that you don't even know you could do better, or you could use help for, if you don't actually spend the time to reach out and connect with other people. That help and support could be a coach. That help and support could be a friend. That help and support could be a therapist. We all have different levels of challenges that we are facing, different levels of awareness that we have of ourselves, and different tools and resources that are accessible to us to attack all the things that we need to attack. And when we do not have those resources, we need to also have that self-awareness to understand what we actually have at our disposal. And if we don't have those tools, then it's worth going and reaching out and seeking help and support to people who do have those tools, that can share those tools with you. Right? So another one that came up quite often was about discomfort. Secret Garden Bay, you're in the house. Challenge brings a gift of opportunity. Satyaki Saha said, courage to step into fear. Luis Matute said, begin to identify that comfort is a drug. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. This is where change, growth, and awakening takes place. Veronica Hernandez also echoed the same sentiment, get comfortable with the uncomfortable. Tony Delaya said, what I thought were my weaknesses are actually my strengths. And Tabitha Mirabella said, when you think things can't get worse, they can, but you can still survive and be at peace at the other end of enduring. And all of these, I always go into our resilience as human beings and as people. And okay, going back to that fitness part that I said in the beginning, that the way you train, right? Your ability to push through challenges, and fitness is a great place to do that. But in reality, your life has proven to you, has given you the evidence that you are capable. We forget. Our memory is short-term for some things and long-term for other things. And it's often the wrong things in the short-term memory and the wrong things in the long-term memory. We look at the long-term and we say, I failed back then. Right? Or the short-term, and we think I'm failing now, but we forget that, sure, I failed, but didn't I pick up the pieces and get it done? Right? Didn't I get through that eventually? Didn't I struggle there and make it through? How the hell am I here today if I didn't make it through all of those things? Right? So then tabulate your years alive. Right? For me, it's almost 42 years. So fine, we can scratch out the first couple of years, but still I made it through, even if all I was doing was crying like a baby. Right? Point is, I have 4 decades that I have gone through, some easier than others, right? But I have gone through all of those days, all of those challenges, whatever was presented to me. And in those moments, yes, absolutely, I thought I couldn't get through it. It felt like the absolute worst in that moment. And sometimes it got worse. I didn't expect it to. I was hoping that it wouldn't. And one thing was bad. And then another thing got added and another thing got added. And it was nonstop. And I thought, like, how am I going to get through this? Right? I can't take anymore. But I did. And I got through it because I'm capable. We all are. We are all capable if we can look at our past, if we can take a moment to reflect on our successes. We have evidence in our history. We just have to remember to not just look at yesterday where we were struggling with the same thing, and instead look back to last year, to the year before, to 10 years prior. What were all the other things that we went through that we thought were impossible to get through that we did get through? That is proof that you can do it. So super important about embracing discomfort, understanding. And again, fitness is a great place to embrace that discomfort, right? But embracing discomfort, getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, looking at challenges as opportunities to grow. And your weaknesses are how you develop your strengths, right? You might think it's a weakness, but how would you know what to strengthen if you didn't find a weak point, right? That's where your strengths develop. It's the identification of a weakness and then working on that weakness to get better. So a couple more things, and then I have my own lessons, some that I'd like to share with you. Integrity, another category. Fred the Mailman said, consistency is key. Anna Barreto said, one day at a time. Absolutely. And again, back to consistency, I was talking about including in our character, how we relate, how we show up, how we are with our word. All of that's important. Self-development and the way we talk to ourselves. And this is the other category. And this one, I do want to touch on certain comments. One was from Jeanette Valenzuela that said that when I have negative thoughts, I have to check myself and constantly work on my emotional and mental health. We all have to. I have plenty of negative thoughts, lots of negative self-talk. I'm just good at reining it in and saying, hey, I know you're saying whatever you're saying, but that's not true. And here's proof. Here's 40 years. I can find all these pieces of evidence to counter your argument and counter your statement. Nikki Castro said, the reminder that no matter how much I learn, how much I grow, how much I think I know, having a core mindset that I know nothing keeps me humble and open to all possibilities that life has to offer me. And that's also a beautiful lesson to keep in place for your development of yourself. There's a lot of ego that starts to come out in our lives as we get older, especially because we've been doing something and perhaps we're in a career where we are now an expert and we've just been doing that same thing. And so we feel like we know it all. And perhaps we know a lot in that specific industry, but most industries are niches in the world when you think about it in the scope of everything on earth, right? Like, sure, maybe you even have Microsoft, and you know everything about Microsoft, the development, this, that. Doesn't mean you know anything about relationships with people, and how big are relationships and how big of a percentage do they take up in our actual lives, right? So it's better to approach life with, what can I learn here? What's new? What do I not know? What question can I ask to know this better? And that immediately improves your mindset by just thinking about those questions, but also improves your relationship with someone else, because you're not coming in butting heads. You're coming in saying, what do you have to offer? I would love to learn, right? And it's an openness, and that immediately creates a better foundation for a healthier connection, a healthier communication. So a couple of comments here before I move to those last parts. Wade said, lovely message, something to be mindful. Express the things that bring you positive energy. Yep. Jared, Tim Ferriss says, success is measured by the number of uncomfortable conversations you are willing to have. Touche. Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to conversations, I've always said, like, There are a lot of situations as a woman, as a solo female, especially in the dance industry, that I had to go through where I had a choice. I had a choice to react to whatever it was that I was hearing or whatever the environment I was in and react defensively, or I had a choice to engage with it differently and shut it down. Like, again, back to my intention. What did I want to accomplish here? Did I want to butt heads? Did I want to show that I was upset only to accomplish nothing with that? Because no, these people aren't going to change and the dialogue is going to continue regardless. Or can I engage with these people who are saying things that are kind of a little derogatory or something like that? And can I engage with them and see if my wit can counter theirs? Their sense of humor. If I can if I can outwit them, right? If I can add a certain something to the dialogue that shuts it down versus being hurt, where now everyone's walking on eggshells. And I always looked at that as those difficult conversations, whether it was feeling hurt, feeling insulted. How do I communicate? Can I communicate with humor? If I am in a friendship situation with someone where I feel wronged, how do I communicate? I can walk away, sure, but what does that do for the relationship? How can I communicate with many things? Even with negotiations where it's difficult to say, listen, this is what I believe I'm worth, and this is what I'm asking for, and the person's like, well, I don't think so, and you kind of don't want to fight. You don't want that conflict. You don't want that confrontation. But in reality, if I don't actually have that don't have that conversation, I will not accomplish what I need for myself to feel valued. Right. So absolutely, Jared. Thank you for sharing that quote by Tim Ferriss. And Irene, thank you for acknowledging my comments. Listening to you has been therapeutic and encouraging. You are so appreciated. My pleasure. Thank you for sharing that. I think, like I said, many of us are going through a lot of similar things, and it's beautiful to see that, when people are actually sharing that, and to know that we're not alone, right? Ultimately. Okay. That are ordinary. They're trying to be in your little circle. Marioso one, thank you for the badge. You guys can get badges on here. Oh, speaking of which, you see, this is my problem. Sometimes a month passes and I forget the other things. If you like this live chat, if you've been watching the other live chats, there are a couple of things that I would very, very much appreciate. One is the feedback form, which you can find magnagopal.com/feedback. You can just go to my website, go to the contact page. The feedback forms are all there. I would love to know what your thoughts are and your personal thoughts on this particular session, even if you've been to another one, even if you filled out the feedback form. magnagopal.com/feedback. The second thing is support the channel. If you're on Instagram, if you're on YouTube, hit like and share the video. If there was something that you found of value, YouTube is where the replays will live. If you found something of value, there's this great feature where you can share a clip. Obviously, you can share the timestamp, but you can also share clips. So if there's like a small section, I'm pretty sure I talk longer than a minute on any particular thing, but if there happens to be a minute, you can actually share that clip with people. Leave a comment. That always helps the channel and supports the channel. And if you feel extra generous, there's in the Facebook and on YouTube, in the comments, or sorry, not in the comments, in the description, you can see a link to Ko-fi. I think it's ko-fi.com/Magna Gopal. You can buy me a coffee. It's like a little donation/gift to support the channel, to support all of this effort. And on Instagram, you can do that with badges. And for that reason, I am telling you, Mario, thank you very much for your badge. Appreciate it. Not sure I understand your question, though. What is your experience with individuals that are ordinary and not at your level? Keep in mind, they're trying to be in your little circle. What do you do? I don't know what you mean by individuals that are ordinary and not at my level, because I'm ordinary. As far as I'm concerned, I'm ordinary. And my level varies. It varies. If it's in dance, sure, I might have a more advanced level than people in salsa. But if I was dancing a totally different dance, I'm a complete beginner. If we're talking about non-dance, I might be something in dance, and in technology, I might be something completely different. So I try not to, I mean, it depends on the level and the industry and the specific circle you're talking about. As far as my little circle, again, something to be defined, because when it is a dance thing, I'm out with everybody. I don't have a little circle. In fact, I'm bouncing from corner to corner and dancing with pretty much everyone, regardless of their level. So, not sure if that helps answer your question. If not, please feel free to clarify, and I'll try and do that. Okay, so last couple of things. This is self-talk, right? So we just talked about, Jeanette mentioned that when I have negative thoughts, I have to check myself, constantly work on my emotional and mental health. There were a couple of other comments in the thread that I want to share. I'm not necessarily going to go and share the person commenting, but if you happen to be listening, this is for you. One person said, "Don't trust." Another person said, "I learned to not believe in anyone." Another person said that I am a fool and it must not continue. And another person said, "If you're a super nice person, always happy to help others, know that no one will do the same for you. It's sad, but being nice in this world deserves more than it serves." To that last comment, I had replied that I think we have to be nice because it feels good to us, not for a reward or even gratitude that we might or might not receive. The reply to that was, "True, but it does not feel good when people will never do the same for you." And I want to address this because there are a couple of things that all of these comments have in common. One is that people are something. I think it's more your behaviors and your actions and your habits that determine that, but you have the ability to change that. So the comment that said, "I am a fool and it must not continue," I replied to that and said, "You have possibly been foolish and that must not continue, but I am sure you're not a fool yourself." Moments, if we start to identify and label ourselves as something, it becomes harder to break out of that. If I look at myself as me with X, I can get rid of X. But if I look at myself as X, like, what does that mean to get rid of X? Am I getting rid of who I am? Right? So how we identify and how we speak to ourselves is really important. And it's important for us to be able to identify stupid behavior from being stupid. We can joke when we say it, "I'm a fool," right? I've been stupid. But in reality, I did something stupid. I am not stupid, right? And I think it's important for us to remember the way we're talking about it to ourselves. And then the part, "I learned to believe in no one, don't trust." And then the part about it does not feel good when people will never do the same for you. This is another case of, what is the term I'm looking for? It's a blanket statement and it is an absolute. And I don't like to work with absolutes because, really, is it absolute? Hasn't something changed? I mean, is any day, any second in our lives the same as another? Things change, right? And when you start using the words never and always, like don't trust ever, people will never do the same for you, like never to believe in anyone, you are limiting yourself. By using those terms, you're limiting yourself, because it's not that people will never do the same for you. I am sure, again, going back into your life and reflecting upon your experiences, I am sure that there are examples, there's evidence of people showing up for you. There might be evidence that you didn't show up for somebody, right? Does that mean that you never show up for someone because you didn't show up for them once? No, right? And likewise, in your relationships, I'm sure that someone's shown up for you. So don't discredit the good in your life because you're feeling bad right now. That's super important. I have been guilty of that on many occasions, and I have to catch myself, right? Is don't spread this moment on everything. Don't taint your life's experiences because of one moment, especially a bad moment. And likewise, don't blanket everything with good, right? That's how we end up staying in a lot of unhealthy, toxic relationships and friendships, right? Because when we know we should be leaving, when we know it should end, we all of a sudden start to think about all these good things, and then we forget about the bad things, right? We just remember the good stuff and say, oh, but they're so this, they're so that. And like, yes, they are, and they're also this, and that's the thing that you don't like. So either accept it and deal with the consequences, or get out, right? So try. I know it's difficult, but this is now going to take me into my own categories of lessons, which I will try to keep this real tight. um, but the idea of the words that we use, speak what you want to believe. Think about what you really want to believe about yourself and start speaking that. Like there's a lot of self-help and meditations and all those things, and sometimes we're like, yeah, whatever. It's important. Words matter, and how you speak to other people, how you speak to yourself are important, because they are reinforcing what you believe you can bring into the world. It's not about sitting there and saying, oh, I'm the best. I mean, if you want to say that, you can, but be realistic, right? I am a good person. I am kind. I am flawed. I have moments where I have lows, and sometimes I react when I don't intend to do something in a hurtful way, but my intention is never harm. I am a good person, and I am capable. I am accountable to myself, that I'm capable of stepping up and righting the wrongs that I have done. If I have done something that I am not proud of, I'm capable of going and correcting that, right? That's important. Those are the kind of words you want to say to yourself, instead of saying, I'm a horrible person. I guess I'm just a terrible person. Like, no, you had moments. We have lots of moments, in our lives. And again, we are carrying a lot of baggage that we are not even entirely aware of, when we might never be aware of it in our entire lifetime. The baggage that we are carrying from our past, from the past that we know, and from the past we barely remember, childhood, okay? But we are carrying those things on our backs, and it's heavy, and we're strong. We are incredibly resilient and strong, but there are times that it becomes really hard to carry. And when we're climbing uphill and we're carrying this bag, and someone says something, we're just like, da, da, da, da, da, and we just react and lash out. We don't mean to do that, but it's because we are unable to contain and tackle all of our own issues sometimes, And that's why I would say it's really important to speak to yourself in a good term, so that you can not look at yourself as like completely flawed, and find that strength in your words to build yourself up better. There's another element, which is agency. And this one is really important to me personally, because there are many times that I've written off a day because it started off wrong, right? And those were moments where I felt like, where I was not exercising my agency over my own life. When we start our day, there are times, right? You start off the day and like, whatever, it started off bad, whatever. I think I'm just going to veg out and, F the day. And agency means that you have a choice at every given moment to make your next choice. And no one else can do that. Only you. But you do have that power. And for me, when it comes to my life, there are some days, like maybe I slept in, right? And I had every intention of being up at earlier, like 6 a.m., but I woke up at 8. And a part of me feels like, whatever, I woke up late, like screw the day, I'll start tomorrow. But no, just because it began a certain way doesn't mean it has to end that way. That's agency, right? That's your ability to change the course of something based on your new circumstances, your new environment, the new information you have at hand. You got less time, focus on something different. You thought you could get all of these things done. Now you're going to have to get different things done. Which of those things are you going to get done, right? And then which will you tackle for the next day? But you do have agency. You have that ability to constantly change course, to constantly adapt to a new situation. So however it started is not how it has to end. The other part of it, this one is actually pretty important. This goes back to the experiences. This is relatively simple. Back to agency. I put it in the terms of a dance, right? Say no to the dance or don't dance. Yeah. That's kind of like say no to the dance or enjoy the hell out of it. That's a way to approach life for me. That's how I approach it. Every single thing that I do, whether I'm going to a football game, which I never go to, I don't really care that much, whether I am watching people curling on TV, right? The Canadian sport, that thing, whatever, look it up, curling. If I don't want to do it, I will say no. Agency. I have the choice, I have the ability to say what I want to do and what I don't want to do. And I will use my voice to express that. If I say I'm going to do it, then I'm going to stick it out, and not just stick it out and like humbug, huff and puff, and be like, oh, I'm still here. Like, I don't really want to. No, I'm going to commit to my yes. I said yes. And I'm going to enjoy the fuck out of that moment. This is what I've done with my dances. And this is why I have so much fun on the dance floor. A lot of people, many of the comments that I get are like, wow, you have so much fun. Every dance I see of yours is always so much fun. Even those leads or people that you're dancing with, when I see them dance with other people, they just look dry. They look cold. They look uninterested. But with you, somehow they're always having fun. And you're always having fun, no matter what level of dancer you're dancing with. And the reason is because if I say yes, that's my time. That's agency. I'm saying yes to something. And that's my 5 minutes. That song is my time. Yes, I'm sharing it with you, but that's my time too. And I'm not going to waste it. And I'm not going to sit there and be miserable. I don't want to spend my 5 minutes being miserable. I want to have fun. And I try to do that with all of life, right? If I say yes to you, you invite me to somewhere, you're like, oh, hey, let's go watch this, I don't know, something that I would never have watched before. I don't know, something. Let's say, see, everything I'm coming up with in my mind sounds a lot of fun. I was like, oh, drunken goats. I'm like, oh, that would be pretty interesting. Like, something like that. So let's say you invite me to go, I don't know, struggling to find an example, but let's say you invite me to go watch curling, right? I've only ever watched curling, like flipping through channels when I was living in Canada and was on all the channels. But let's say you invited me to go watch curling. Now, that doesn't really sound super interesting to me. I have no desire. But if I say yes to you, I am going to be into that game. Like, I got invited to a football game. I watch football. I can get into football. I know some of the rules to it. And I went to see the Jets play the Eagles, October or November or something like that. Anyways, I went and my friend was like, listen, you better cheer for the Jets. All right, because otherwise I'm giving your ticket to somebody else. I was like, okay, I'll cheer. So I got there, first quarter, sitting there like, I'm not completely understanding the game. By the second quarter, I'm like, look, I'm here for this entire time. I was in it. Like, I was screaming at the top of my lungs based on the little rules and knowledge that I knew about the game. Because why not? Right? Like, I mean, I'm there. What am I going to do? Just leave? I could, but I don't want to. So if I don't want to leave, that means I want to stay. So what the hell am I going to do based on that choice? Two choices: leave, stay. Stay. Am I going to just be there as a body and not remember anything, or am I going to enjoy the fuck out of that moment? Right? So trying to approach life and everything that you do and all the choices that you say yes to the same way you would say yes to a dance. And I hope that you are approaching your dances that way too, not with the look of, oh, this dancer is not that good and I have to do this pity dance, or I wish I was dancing with someone else. Say no then. Say no to that person and go and get the dance that you're actually looking for, and come back to this person later if you want, or if you don't. But don't say yes and be miserable. Why are you wasting that time? That's yours. Okay. This one is another one that I would like to share. And this is, let me just listen to what's going on. Mark said, I would say words matter, but actions are reactions, or reactions are more important than words. Via your life experience determines the outcome of the situation. Touche. Words and actions matter. I'm just going to comment on that. Words and actions matter. Okay. It's not about like your actions matter more than your words, because not everything is an action. Many things are left in the word form, and the words often have a lot more detail than actions do. So don't diminish the importance of words. And a lot of the things that we do to ourselves, our self-talk, is not in our actions. I'm not sitting there beating myself up. I'm not taking a hammer and hitting myself on the head, but I am saying things that are the equivalent. The words that I'm saying are the equivalent. So words do matter, okay? Please do not dismiss the importance of words. Right? Me sitting there saying I'm a horrible person is like hitting myself in the head with a hammer. But obviously, I'm not going to do that. So the action will never exist, but the word does. Same thing if I was saying that to someone else. You are a terrible person. You're a piece of shit human being. I hope you die. I didn't kill you, but didn't I? Inside, didn't I kill you a little bit? Right? So your words do matter. And be mindful of your words, the ones you say to other people and the ones you say to yourself, because they have consequences, right? They have an impact. I don't care who you are. It doesn't matter if you have a platform like this or a bigger platform, you're Kardashian or you're a news reporter, or you're just another person living your life. Your words matter, you know? Have integrity with your words. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Think twice before you speak once. Be mindful of your intention and what you're trying to communicate, and understand that the way you say things do have an impact. It doesn't matter who you're speaking to or who you are. So that's my comment on that. Mike from New Jersey, always an inspiration. Thank you. Nice to see you. All right. So Angel Perez, Happy New Year to you, my friend. Just go with you. Okay. So last couple of points here. Let's see, which ones did I miss? Okay. 2 more points I'm going to say. Okay. 2 more points, because we've already talked about integrity of your word. And that was one of the categories that I had, which was like work, ethics, integrity, making sure your actions live up to your words, being good, kind, grateful. That's we've already covered. 2 others, 2 or 3. So there's another element of agency, and that is about definitions. Okay. Back to words. Defining the words that we use. I'm going to give you an example with regards to effort in friendships and effort in relationships, all the relationships that you have. There was a long period of time where I had kind of unhealthy relationships, where I'm always trying to reach out to someone, they're not getting back. You know, I'm putting all this effort in, and that's how I defined effort. That's how I defined a friendship. The effort that was required for a friendship was this level of effort. It was a lot of struggle, a lot of lack of reciprocation, a lot of resentment, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration. That is what I defined as effort, what effort is required in a friendship, in a relationship. When I got better friends in my life, sometimes I felt like it was too good to be true. You know, I felt like this is effortless, right? And I know that relationships require work. They do require effort. Effortless is not about effortless like zero effort. It just means that it's not, doesn't feel like a lot of work, right? So I understand that relationships, any kind of relationship, requires effort, requires work, because you're two people who are discovering yourselves as you're growing and learning and becoming someone new each day. And you are 2 people interacting with each other and trying to figure out how you can grow together, right? So Of course there's going to be effort. I mean, there's an effort in me discovering myself and growing with myself. Of course there's going to be effort growing with someone else who's also growing with themselves, right? But when I had the experience of effort in unhealthy relationships, my definition of effort was skewed to the negative. It was skewed to the negative because I thought that effort also entailed resentment, anger, disrespect, lack of appreciation, all of these negative things. When I got into healthier relationships, all of a sudden I started to feel like I didn't have to work that hard, right? When there was conflict, it was resolved respectfully. When there was an issue, it was communicated without anger, without resentment. There was no yelling. There was no words that were hurtful. All of these things, this is the effort that I'm putting in now, right? But because of my past and the way I've experienced the effort I've had to put in, I had defined it as such. And it made me feel like the present moment was too good for me. And I'm sure many people experience this with good friends, with people who are just caring and loving and all of that stuff. And you're like, oh man, this is just too good. It's too good for me, you know? And it's often because of the way we define effort. It's the way we define the effort that we put in. And we define it on toxic relationships, unhealthy relationships, and we lace that definition with all this negativity, that when we're putting in effort where there is no negativity, we feel like we're not putting in effort, means we're not working on it, means that it's too good to be true and something's going to go wrong, right? It's like self-sabotaging behavior. I know, I've had it, I've done it many times, and I know and I understand that it comes from my past. So as you go through life, it's important to take those moments to define and redefine the words that come into play often. Effort. What is effort in a relationship, in a friendship? Interest. What is interest? Maybe in my past, someone expressing interest, let's say romantic interest, was someone who was just, texting all the time. Now, maybe that's different. Maybe it's the type of text, right? Is it just the frequency of the messaging, or is it the quality of the messaging, right? Those kind of things change, and you have to be able to go back and revisit them. Otherwise, you are carrying definitions from your past experiences, and putting them on the present when they probably have no place, because you have grown as an individual. You are a better person. You are better than that definition, So that's a really big one for me personally, that I was catching myself doing this year, and I was like, wait, why do I feel this way? Like something's wrong, But I'm like, I'm putting in the work, but I'm doing it in a healthy way versus in my past, which was unhealthy. And I'm like, the work is the definition of work. It's a definition of effort that I need to change. Okay. All right. So going here, and then my last 2 points, and then we're out. I appreciate all of you sticking around. I know we go long sometimes, right? This is the new year. This is the first one for the year, and you all shared some amazing messages and comments, and I wanted to honor that, because I appreciate you taking the time to share your comments wherever I can, especially on YouTube. If you guys are commenting on the live chats, on the other videos, on the replays, I always do my best to get back to everybody. So if you're leaving a comment there, you can expect a reply in some time, as long as I'm not overwhelmed with something. But eventually I'll get back there and I'll reply to you. So for today, some of the lessons that you shared were really great, and I wanted to share that with everybody else. So appreciate you sticking around for that. Sonia said, I agree with you 100% on speak once and think twice. Actually, you're on point on all you are speaking about. So helpful. Appreciate it. Thank you. I'm glad that you can take something out of it. Mark said, let's say correlation or words, causation is action. In the end, causation action is the true tactile result. Hence, regarding actions may be more important than words. I feel like we're in semantics now, Mark, because again, the action from the words could be the other person walking away from you because you said something hurtful. Now, those are not a result of your actions, those are a result of your words. The action is the reaction to your words. You didn't actually do something, right? You didn't hurt them physically, but your words did. So, anyways, I stand by it is important to mind your words. To others, whatever you say to other people, whatever you say to yourself out loud or in your head, what you write down, all of those things. Think twice, speak once. All right. So, last couple points. There's a show, Psych. I don't know if you've heard of Psych. I think I've spoken about it many, many times. It's one of my favorite shows. It is 8 seasons, 16 episodes per season. I have seen that entire series, I think like 8 times all the way through. Love the show. It's very funny. It's silly humor. So if you don't mind that silliness, it's great. Characters work really well together. Anyways, season 5, episode 1. This is about kind of like growth and development and how we sometimes restrict ourselves from moving forward. And these last little points are all going to be tying into that. Captain Vic, she is the chief Captain Vic of the Santa Barbara Police Department, is speaking to one of the detectives, Juliet O'Hara, and she had just gone through a traumatic experience where she was kidnapped by this serial killer and kind of held hostage, and she was eventually rescued, but she thought she would have gotten through it faster, and ultimately she took not took a leave of absence from work, but took a leave of absence from field work. And so she was just working at the desk and she was doing a lot of this desk work. And eventually the captain came over and was like, listen, there's this case. We could really use your help on it. She's like, yes, chief. But, I just recently went through this and I need my time. And, they say that you should be taking time and really processing everything. And I wrote this quote down. And this is a long time ago that I first heard it. And I think it's so on point. The chief said to the detective, she said, just make sure you know when the healing ends and the delaying begins. Everyone has their own timeline. Everyone has their own process. Everyone has their own way of dealing with things, right? Whether that's loss, whether that's death, whether that is loss of a job or a friendship or relationship, whether that is an injury, whatever it is, right? We all have our own timelines. I am not intending to project a timeline onto you. But I also believe that sometimes we procrastinate and I think we prolong our timeline beyond what's necessary and sometimes beyond what's healthy for our own growth and our own development. And that quote just nails it on the head. Make sure you know when the healing ends and the delaying begins. Let's say even being sick. I can attest to this, and I'm guilty of this before. Sometimes I'm sick. I'm like, I need to take some time off work, right? I just need to rest. I really need to. I can feel my body. My body needs to rest. And so I'm sleeping. I'm drinking tea. I'm binge watching. I'm just chilling out, doing nothing, like zero work. I'm absolutely not making my body do anything, right? No exercise, no nothing. A week goes by, right? It's a long time to rest, but let's say a week goes by and I'm feeling a little bit better. Maybe there are hints, maybe there's still a cough or a sniffle or something like that, a little achiness. And now I'm like, well, I'm still sick and I still need a break. I'll start later. It's because I'm sick. I'm still recovering. But am I? Right? Like, am I really still recovering or have I recovered? And all of this is remnants that actually do not impede my ability to get back to what it is that I want to get done, the things that I want to pursue, the things that are fulfilling to my life, like fitness, like productivity, the things that I want to do, right? I want to get accomplished. And that part, I think many of us do this. I've heard it from my friends. It's like, oh, but this is still. And is it still? Like, are you being honest when you ask yourself that question? Am I still healing or am I delaying? Right? I can't answer that for you. That is something that you can only answer for yourself. However, I think that is a good question to ask yourself when you are postponing and putting off the things that you want to get back to. Sometimes fear takes over in other ways, and fear finds its way to present itself in this most beautiful way of, I'm still healing, I'm still recovering, when in reality, you're just delaying, right? Nikki, the show's name is Psych, like psychic. So Psych, Psych. Great show. If you ever watch it, let me know what you think. I love it. That is one of my favorite shows. And lastly, this is more about productivity and work. And this is based on like some of the stuff that I've been working on personally with my own business, my own content creation, my goals, the things that I want to get accomplished. I have for a long time been doing things on the fly, right? Like I'm like, oh, I'll post this. Oh, I'll post that. Oh, I'll do this. And so I started working on the system called Notion. I have like Word documents, task boards, Excel sheets, all these things. And now I've been working on a system to develop my productivity in a way that I can assess it. Like, what are my goals? Put out those reasons. What's my intention with all of this stuff? And measure it. And that just takes me to a quote by James Clear. He wrote this book, Atomic Habits. And in that book, it says, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So many of us, I know there are lots of things that we want to accomplish, that we want to get done. And maybe we've even written them down. But I found in my past that my writing things down was still vague. You know, like travel, right? Okay, what the hell does that mean? I want to travel more. That's really vague. And there's no way to accomplish something that's vague. It's impossible for your mind to even truly visualize what that would look like, what accomplishing that goal would look like, right? And it's floating ideas, so you can't even latch on to one thing and make that happen. So what I've started focusing on is for myself to identify, sure, I can say travel. I would like to travel more, but then clarify, what does that mean exactly? You know, and then make it quantifiable. What does traveling mean? So to me, I would like to have 100 countries by the time I'm 50. How many countries have I gone to? I've gone to 80. That means I have 20 left to go to. Now, I'd like to travel 20 countries, 20 countries. But am I going to put, oh, I want to travel to 20 countries and when? You know, in what period? Am I waiting to the last year right before I turn 50 and just do 1 year of travel? Maybe I can break that down. Sure, I'd like to travel to 2 or 3 countries this year. Okay, not just that. Which countries? You know, of the 20 countries, let me list out what are all the countries that I do want to go to. List those out. Say which 3. And just by quantifying it and being more specific about what it is that you want to accomplish, it becomes easier to actually achieve it. Because now I can say, okay, I want to go to these 3 countries. I can research when is the best time to visit these countries. What is the cost of airfare? Blah, blah, blah, blah. And then I can start to plan it out and it can become a reality, right? The other element is, what is your system of actually tracking what you're doing? So my thing before used to be an element of just checklists, right? Like write a task or have Todoist or Google Tasks or whatever, and just be able to check things off. But there are many things that I do on a repeat basis. My live chat, for example, has numerous steps before we get to this point. You know, there's setting up the live chat itself, setting it up on StreamYard, designing the flyer, outlining the topic, creating promotional posts. When do I post to my stories? You know, what is the question that I want to ask my audience? When do I have time? Like schedule time to review all of the comments and see which ones I can bring into the live chat and discuss. Once the live chat's over, I have to back it up. I have to go and do timestamps. I have to go edit. There's a lot to do. And this is a recurring thing. It happens once a month, right? Now I know everything off the top of my head, what I need to get done, right? But when we're just doing a checklist, sure, that's great. It's really good to be able to process flow, right? Like say, okay, now what? Now what? Now what? But what I started doing, and this is helping me a lot, is I have also added, like I have a due date column. I also added a clock in, clock out wow. Let me start that again. I have a due date column, and I also have a clock in, clock out column. Okay. So I have my due date for when I need to get it done, basically. And then I have my actual time that I log for how long it takes me to get done. This way I can measure my progress. I can see if I'm getting better at this particular process, and I can budget my time accordingly. Right. So each task is not just a task randomly assigned to a live chat, right? Each task has the type of task that it is. Is it a design task? Is it a platform task? Is it an administrative task? Is it a brainstorming task, right? And then there's a clock in, clock out time that calculates a duration for me. So then I can see exactly how long an entire project like my live chat, which is 1 hour, 1.5 hours to you guys today, but is many days and many hours worth of work for me. I can see exactly how long it takes. And when I'm planning out my live chat, because when I first started doing my live chats, it was very last minute. You know, it's like, oh shit, I got to promote my live chat. Oh crap, what am I going to ask Mike? Oh, I have to do a little flyer. Let me design this really quickly. Like everything was haphazard. Yes, I got it done because that's who I am. I'll get it done. That's just my personality. But it was stressful, right? And I don't want to have that stress. Then I started planning out my live chats. I'm like, okay, I'm going to work on my live chat. I'm going to set aside 3 hours or 4 hours to work on my live chat 2 days before. Well, you know what? That wasn't enough time. I actually need way more time for the live chat based on all the different stages of it. Now, by calculating that clock in, clock out time and understanding how much each of those tasks actually takes, once I sit down to work on it, I can now say, okay, I need 8 to 10 hours. So I'm not going to block out 4 hours and assume that I'm going to get this work done. No, I need to block out 2 hours 1 week prior, 2 hours the day before, 2 hours day of, 2 hours after, and then 2 hours the next day. And now I'm going to get this thing done. And now my calendar makes more sense to me. Now I understand exactly what's required for me to be able to get things done. So if you are in a stage of your life, and if you're, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you're doing your own stuff like I am, there is an element, and maybe you have your own system. And if you do, I would love to hear about it, you know, because I'm always interested in how other people navigate these rivers of entrepreneurship, right? But if you have your own system, great. Leave it in the comment. Let me know. We could chat about it. But if not, and you're creating a system or you have a system that you'd like to tweak and work on, I would highly recommend having your, whatever it is that you have to do, having your due date, you know, the day that it absolutely has to get done, having the type of task it is so that you can batch your tasks at a later date and say, you know what, today I'm going to work all on design stuff. Let me look at all the different things that are design related, and I'm just going to work on that. And then have a clock in, clock out property where you can identify exactly how long it takes you. Clock in, clock out means once you hit start, you do not do anything else. You don't check your phone. You don't reply to a text. You don't jump over to another browser tab, nothing. Okay, you work on that task and that task alone to clock in exactly how much time it takes you. So that is all I have for you today. Dance on the excellent side. That's all. Yeah, that's all I have for you today. I wish you all a very, very happy New Year. If you have the time, I would very much appreciate your feedback. You can leave it as a comment in the YouTube. The Instagram does not keep the replay. The live chat replay stays on YouTube. So leave a comment on YouTube. If you would like to support the channel, one of the easiest ways to do that is to hit like, to hit subscribe, and to share it with your friends. Again, the replay, if you do want to share this or any section of it, will be on YouTube. Feedback form is where you can go into a little bit more detail as to what you actually enjoyed, what lessons you took, what lessons you might want to share that you didn't get a chance to share yet. That would be much appreciated. And of course, check out the channel, check out the YouTube channel for past live chats. And if you're interested in any type of coaching, whether it is mindset coaching, empowerment coaching, or even dance related, you can always reach out to me from my website, magnagopal.com. And finally, if you want to do your own training on your own, you can always check out my online platform that has a dance membership my fitness membership, which if you want to die and cry while you're working out, easy. I promise you that. I guarantee it. Okay. And if you don't, I'll give you your money back. But you will. So I'm not at all scared of that guarantee. Anyways, that's available for you. You can check that out also from my website, magnagopal.com. And yeah, this is our first one for the year, but it's number 22. We will be doing our next one on the first Wednesday of February. I will post more information about that later. And I wish you all a lovely, lovely, lovely Happy New Year. Who knows how long we'll be wishing each other Happy New Year, but we're still in the first week. So Happy New Year. I wish you all the best. I hope some of these lessons are things that you can apply to your life. If you have more lessons that you would like to share, by all means, please leave them in the YouTube comments. Again, the replay is there for other people to watch, and you never know who goes and reads through the comments. So maybe I didn't cover the lesson, or maybe you'd like to share a personal experience on that lesson. And by that comment showing up in YouTube, you're not only going to help me, but you're also going to help anybody else who comes and watches that video at a later date. Cool? All right, everyone. Thank you for sticking around. It's an hour and 40. Usually we do not go on this long. So if this is your first time on this live chat, it's most often 30 minutes to an hour, often a little bit less, which is what I try to do. But thank you for being here anyways. I hope you all have a lovely, lovely day. Bye. Bye, everybody on Instagram. Thank you. Happy New Year to you too. Thank you, Emmanuel, for hanging around. Thank you, Steve, for making it today. Cheers, cheers, cheers, everybody. Have a great day. Always a struggle. How do I get off, right?